Hello and welcome to another episode of Peace News Now, a very special one this Sunday, May 11th, 2014. It's so good to be with you live at LRN.FM. We'll also be getting set up at peacenewsnow.com/live, where you can always catch the show when we broadcast, and you can join others in the chat room. But for now, check us out over at LRN.FM. We also rebroadcast over on LibertyMovementRadio.com, FPRN Radio. And if you're rebroadcasting this show, let us know so we can put your name out there. All right, this show talks about peaceful resistance and those who are engaging in it. So we'll be joined by Robin Hood of Keene and some of his merry men to talk about a protest of Robin Hood's engagement with the community. If you're not yet familiar, maybe this is your first time tuning into the show, Robin Hooding is an activity where joyful people will fill the parking meters, the expired parking meters, of their friends and neighbors just by simply going around and plugging the meters with quarters, or nickels as it were, and saving their neighbors from a $5, $10, $15, could even be $50 parking ticket. And this can be done anywhere in the country that has those old-style parking meters, and it's happening in Keene, New Hampshire. No surprise, a place known for peaceful resistance. And Robin Hood of Keene will be joining us shortly. He's on video, so if you're watching along at YouTube or at peacenewsnow.com/live, you can see our lovely mugs and interact with us over there. And he'll wave at the screen when he's ready to come on to the show, and I'll introduce him. Oh, and he's waving now. So, James, welcome to the show. James Cleveland, Robin Hood of Keene. How's it going?
Hey, great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I sure can. I'm going to pump up your volume a little bit on my end, but yeah, you sound great. So, how have you been holding up? You've hit the New York Times this week. Major story. It was on the front page. Okay, it was below the fold, but hey, front page New York Times story. This is huge. First of all, how are you holding up?
I mean, it's kind of funny because it's almost like I'm desensitized to it now because we've made so much media from the whole Robin Hooding activism that's going on here. But it's like another media storm's blowing up now. We've had requests for interviews, radio shows, NPR's looking to interview people. So, it's just great, really.
Have you had more people who show up to investigative reporting? And tell whoever's making noise over there to stop it.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, have you had more people come to Keene to do investigative reporting?
Yes, we've had quite a few folks come here, and of course Dan Barry, the New York Times reporter, showed up, and he did the piece on us, so that was good.
What sort of infiltration did that man get into your group? Because he didn't get very far with the government people.
Yeah, so of course it's kind of funny because one of the differences between the Liberty folks and the city, so-called people, the city of Keene, is we're willing to talk to people who are curious about what we're doing, but the city is all hush-hush, which I just find fascinating. I mean, it looks so bad, I think, for them PR-wise to do that.
Yeah, why do you think that is? Why would they not be better trained by now on how to respond to mainstream media? I mean, zipping your lip is the worst thing you can do. It almost guarantees a second story.
Yeah, I would suspect that they're still under the old model of thinking where we have a pending lawsuit, so we can't talk to the media. Of course, in my opinion, you should do the opposite, especially if they're right in their lawsuit. I mean, if they feel that they have a good suit against us, which I don't think that they do, they should be making their case, and instead they're keeping quiet.
Now, there was one person from the government side who decided to speak to the media. Can you give a summary of what that person said?
I don't remember everything he said. Are you referring to Gary Lamoureux?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, basically, I think he kind of gave some of the story, but to be honest with you, I don't remember what he said, so I can't comment too much on it.
Well, what about you? How did you feel about the story? Was it fair reporting?
I think it was, definitely he was opinionated and he had his opinion, but I think it could have been a lot worse, and I mean, it's like anything. I talked to the guy myself an hour and 10 minutes. I think Garrett spoke with him over an hour.
Wow.
And then, they use like the one little piece that they want, and that's it.
Yeah, so do you think he was going in ready to tell his own story and just sort of sought information to confirm that bias?
I think that there was a lot of that. I mean, one of the things, it came out in the article, but one of the things he kept asking me was, why does the Free State Project attract white males? And I was just shocked by that question, and I said I don't know, but I have some theories on it, and
It's in our propaganda that only members of the master race may participate. It's in all the literature. I can't believe he missed it. No, that is something that was strange in the article that I saw reported as well. Carla Garrick, president of the Free State Project, made some flippant joke about, yeah, she's the token African American, which seemed to not fly very well with the reporter. And a lot of people were reporting back to me saying, "Are you serious, Derek? You think this is a positive story about the FSP? I thought it was a hit piece."
Yeah, I mean, I think that like one of my goals, my activism, is to get the Free State Project in the national media. So that's how the Free State Project gets signers. I mean, every time there's a national media event related to the Free State Project and that gets mentioned, there's always a spike in sign-ups and people who sign up. And I think it's important to realize that we're not trying to make everyone happy. We're not trying to get everyone to move here. We're trying to get people who like liberty, who like freedom, to move here. So I don't feel it's necessary to have everyone agree with us or anything like that. My goal is to garner that media attention and get name recognition for the FSP. Keene has been great in getting signers for the FSP. There's a chart shown at Liberty Forum where it showed every time there's national media about the Free State Project, there's always a spike in the sign-ups, and pretty much every single event was Keene. I mean, you could think back to the Keene Bearcat, you could think back to Keene's Cynthia Chase, of course the Robin Hooding. I mean, there's so many events that have occurred here that really blow up big and make national news.
Right now, I'm trying to look up some of the different people who covered the story of the Robin Hood New York Times article. It was reposted by the Los Angeles Times, Newser, Esquire, Globe and Mail. Did each of these do their own unique story, or were they reposting or syndicating the content of that one author?
I didn't read them all, but I think the LATimes kind of summarized it and added their own commentary to it, and then put it out as their own piece. I think Esquire pretty much did a copy-paste. So
I see. You mentioned that whenever there's mainstream media attention from the activism in Keene, you see a spike of signers for the Free State Project at freestateproject.org.
Yep.
Have you noticed any sort of spike yet, or is it still too early to tell?
I mean, they compile that data every now and then. I suppose we could check it in a few weeks and see if they've updated it. But I suspect that there will be a spike.
I suspect so as well. What were some of the mainstream media attention that captured your heart?
I think that, well, I don't even remember how I learned about the Free State Project, but Dave Ridley, I kind of got excited about the Free State Project through the activities that were going on here. And of course, how I knew about that was Dave Ridley. So one mainstream thing I did see, I remember seeing a piece on John Stossel about the Free State Project, which I, thought was good.
Well, Robin Hood held a barbecue recently, and it didn't go over as planned. I'm going to ask you about that.
Oh, it went great.
I also want to ask you about the DEA raid that happened in Keene. You were there. All right, all that coming up and more. Stay tuned. This is PNN.
But We were there.
Rock on. Hey, thanks so much for joining us, Robin Hood. It's great to have you on. Now, we are on a break from LRN.FM, and in this time, I'm going to put up a little advertisement for PNN so that people can know to donate in Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, or whatever cryptocurrency they prefer. And so I've got some behind-the-scenes things to get sorted out. If there's anything that I can do to help you, please let me know, and we'll get that sorted out. Anything on this end?
Nope, I think we're good here.
All right, terrific. Well, if you would, for me, do me the small favor of adjusting your camera just slightly down so that I'm not getting as much wall, and I'm getting more of you.
I don't even know what that's...
That is much better for me. To be able to see your eyes at like the third quarter of the screen, that is optimal. And one small favor, if you would please take the spray bottle of whatever that is and
Till
put
it
it off screen.
Yeah, that's the microphone.
No, the spray bottle.
Spray bottle. Where's the spray bottle?
It's on the bookshelf behind you. It's kind of distractingly out of place. Okay, that's much better. That is all I ask. Now everything else looks great. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Okay, we will be right back in 3 minutes.
Okay, great.
Just the last one. Where's Scott?
309. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Liberty Radio Network listen lines are locked to our stream 24 hours a day. Call 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone, and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.lrn.fm. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit the Liberty Radio Network when you shop at Amazon via shop.lrn.fm.
Copblock.org/pivothead. To ensure that a record of the truth of police interactions exists and is accessible, we each need a film. That's why we're happy to announce the Accountability Through Transparency video contest, the winner of which will receive a pair of Pivot Head sunglasses. For more information and to submit your video entry, go to copblock.org/pivothead. 1. Document with a camera a police employee exhibiting double standards or the standards we expect them to live up to. This can be done while on foot, during a vehicle stop, while submitting an open records request, etc. 2. Upload your video to your YouTube channel. 3. Fill out the form at copblock.org/pivothead by the deadline of midnight Eastern Standard Time, May 23rd, 2014. 4. The winner, chosen by contest sponsors, will be notified by email, and the Pivot Head sunglasses will be shipped to its mailing address. Copblock.org/pivothead.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us pay our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Robin Hood of Keene. His name, James Cleveland. And he made the front page of the New York Times. What was it, this Monday?
Yep, that's right.
Wow, that's terrific. And in this segment, I want to talk a little bit about some of your other activism in Keene. Tell me what you've been up to aside from Robin Hooding.
I mean, there's always something going on here in Keene. You brought it up at the last break. The DEA was just in town. There was a little local store called Fat Stuff that got raided. Of course, the parking's a huge issue here. The city is trying to raise the parking rates and the parking fines. And there's actually quite a bit of pushback from the community. There were 30 downtown business owners that sent the city of Keene a petition saying that they don't want the rates increased, and they want the city to cut costs in the parking department, not raise the rates on their customers and workers. I collected, with the help of a few other people, almost 650 signatures just from people who work downtown or shop downtown opposing the rate increases.
What's the benefit of those signatures? Have you been able to present them anywhere?
Yes, so I did turn them in, if you will. I probably should have kept collecting more, but we thought that they were going to try to ram through the ordinance and pass it into law, so I went ahead and I turned them in. But, I mean, without the activists here, the ordinance probably would have already passed, because they tried to sneak it in to one meeting, and then they probably would have proposed the language and just passed it already. But because of the folks here, it's been a pushback and an organized effort to resist this. And I've had a lot of business owners secretly support me. And, of course, 30 of them said we don't want these rate increases, which is really great.
Wow, that is really great. Are any of them willing to go on record besides a petition? And I'm hearing the happy noise. That's business owners saying that they agree with Robinhood. Anytime we hear a happy noise, that's agreement. So yeah, is anyone willing to go on record and go before the city council and say, hey, you guys are doing the wrong thing?
Yes, so one business owner here in town, I don't even think she signed the petition. She didn't know about it. But when she learned that the rates were going to be raised, she kind of wrote a letter to the editor, really tearing into the city and talking about how bad the parking situation is for her business. I mean, she has one of the worst spots in the downtown area to try to run a restaurant out of, and that's what, the city is not providing her adequate parking. She actually went before the city council, one of the committee meetings, and she testified that, over the past few years, 5 of her customers have been towed. Her customers come into her business, they can't find parking, or they got a parking ticket and they're upset. So she actually supports the Robinhooders, and she came to the city council meeting to basically tell these so-called leaders her thoughts on the matter, and that she doesn't feel that they're helping her. Her business is not doing well, and she thinks it's because of the parking. It's the issue is just so bad for her.
Well, aside from filling the parking meters of those whose meters have expired, what can Robinhood do to help these business owners who have such a problem with parking?
I mean, unfortunately, there's not too much we can do. As a believer in the marketplace, I think that the city should ultimately phase out the parking department and turn over parking management, if you want to call it that, to the business owners. My contention is the parking fund has become revenue generation for the city, and it is perfectly clear with this whole wanting them to increase the rates. There are so many ways they could cut costs from the parking department. They have a parking operations manager who is full-time managing 3 employees. I mean, what does she do all day? And the 3 employees do their own things, so it's not even like direct supervision. They now have a parking czar, Gary Lamoureux, who you mentioned earlier, spoke to the New York Times. He's making $30 an hour, and he is a parking consultant. I mean, what is he doing for that money? Who knows? So I feel that it's like any governmental organization. They don't know how to run efficiently. They have a customer service person who works the window. Yeah, you could replace her with a machine or a drop box, and that would save the taxpayers 40 hours a week. And these people are not cheap. So the average City of Keene employee, without benefits and without overtime, makes $57,000 a year. And for comparison, the median household income for Keene is $50,000.
Wow.
That could be one person working. It could be 2 people working. It even could be 3 people working.
for a household. And
for a household.
just one bureaucrat, the average salary is in excess of the average household salary in Keene. Boy, that's excessive.
I know, and what's crazy is that median household number, that includes everything. So if you had investments that were paying you income, or if you had rental properties. So the City of Keene employee, they have great benefits. They get a lot of overtime. If you lump in the overtime and the benefits, it's kind of skewed because the fire department and the police department get so much overtime. But even if you average it out across the city, it's still $92,000 per employee. I mean, it is insane what these people are paid.
Wow. It's really going to represent, I think you're unveiling the numbers behind the threats, right? The government people, they can't change their ways. Why not? And it's often hidden from the people, and you're revealing the numbers. So how did you find these numbers? Did you have to submit some sort of Freedom of Information Act request? Is this all public knowledge? I mean, what you're revealing, I think if people knew the facts about the salaries of the bureaucrats in their own hometowns, they would say, I think I could do without that person doing that job. I think we could replace them with a machine quite nicely.
Yeah, there's a great guy, a resident here in Keene named Joe, and he took the City of Keene budget, and he used to be an actuary. So he's a really smart guy. He's really good at math, and he backed into all these numbers. And then he submitted it to the city council, to the city, and they didn't refute any of the numbers. So it's not, it's in the ballpark. It's pretty accurate. It's not precise. We don't know exactly the cost per se of an employee, but on average you can say that they're paid $57,000 a year. And they didn't refute those numbers. So these people are very well paid. And another thing that they often do, Gary Lamoureux did this. He's a retired firefighter. I think he was the fire chief. He's collecting a salary, and now he's working for the city again. I mean, it's really outrageous when you think about. He's probably getting almost a six-figure retirement, and then he's also working for the city now. You know, it's really it has become two classes of people. I mean, there's like the government people, and then there's everyone else, and it's really unfortunate that that's the case. But as you know, governments are not affected by market forces. They have monopoly. The parking's a great example of this. They don't have to compete with anyone. In theory, they could set the rates whatever they wanted to because they're not bound by those market forces.
Important points. Robin Hood of Keene, we're going to return with more information about what alternatives to these draconian parking enforcement measures we could have. It could be a whole new world. PNN returns after this. Yikes. Man, I was just so enamored by all the facts you were spewing. I totally lost my train of thought. The music came on. I wasn't ready for it. Man,
yeah,
that's
good.
Holy cow. They are insane. I had no idea it was this bad. You know, you think, oh, bureaucrats, they're making a buck more than everyone else, but not that much. And
you know what's insane? So Keene, for whatever reason, it makes less than the median household income of the rest of New Hampshire. So it's a poor area, but more people are educated here. There's more high school degrees. There's more college degrees. And I think the difference is the city government here is worse. But, you know, that's my suspicion.
Wow, that's so fascinating. I suspect the same as well. You know, with an overbloated government like that.
Yeah, businesses don't want to be here. I mean, why would you want to be somewhere where you have to pay more taxes? It doesn't make sense.
No one's going to move into a place. Maybe if you were born there and you have some allegiance, you love Keene, whatever, the people, the community, and you know they're going to come to your business regardless of what the cost is. But, hey, if you're a business person and you want to make money, you're going to go where the money is and where the unrestrictive tax structure and all the businesses or the governments let you be free. Hey, I got one question for you regarding audio. It looks like you're using a professional USB mic, which is awesome.
Yep.
The audio that I'm hearing, I'm suspecting, is from the whole room. So is it possible for you to confirm for me that by going to the top of the Google Hangouts and clicking on the little gear that says settings, and then under the microphone section, make sure that it's USB audio is selected.
Now is that better?
Yes. There's a
I think the mic is like you speaking to this part, so that may have an impact too.
Yep. Yeah, let's do a couple of tests of that.
Okay, sound check 1 2.
Yeah, you sound very good. There's a significant difference between.
Were you getting feedback from the speakers?
I was not getting any feedback. Google Hangout is pretty good about that. It sort of checks like digitally and removes any sort of echo that there might be. But now I'm getting a really crisp, clean, like you're close to the mic and in a studio sort of sound. So if you could just say the ABCs for me for a little bit, and I'll stop you.
Yeah, A, B, C, D.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Excellent. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
So
And,
what you want to talk about the barbecue, and then what do you want to talk about?
well, I want to talk about the barbecue, but I want to leave that most of that for Garrett because that was mostly his thing. But I know you have thoughts on that barbecue, and that maybe will be our lead-in during the last segment. But in next segment, I want to talk about the DEA raid. We didn't really get to it. You mentioned it, flirted with the idea of talking about it, but we didn't really say, like, the DEA raided fat stuff, and maybe I could play a video of some of that raid happening.
Yeah, one point of clarification, I wasn't physically there at the raid, so.
Oh, I thought you were. Okay.
No. Fortunately, no.
Well, you've still got commentary on it, I'm sure.
Now, one interesting thing, I don't know if I'll bring this up, but I don't really care if it's known. Fat Stuff had the parking petition in their store. Their customers are signing it for me.
That's really cool. Do they still have it, or did the DEA take that?
They probably did take it. I haven't. They had a few copies left, so I don't know if they took it or not.
Sure. Hey, we're coming back in 10.
Okay.
PhoenixEasing.com.
Do you love Twitter?
Yes.
Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
I'm in a dance club, live with Robin Hood of Keene, James Cleveland, who hails from Georgia?
That's right. I guess I was born in Missouri, and then I pretty much grew up in the Atlanta area in Georgia, so I would self-describe as from Georgia.
And he moved to Keene to get active for liberty and has achieved just that and more. He's making waves at the New York Times, front page, LATimes, Esquire, and the like. Mainstream media just can't get enough of this Robin Hood story. I myself included. I love it. But let's change gears for a moment and talk about something else that's happening in Keene. Now, you were attracted to Keene because of the activism there, because Dave Ridley of RidleyReport.com daily produces videos showcasing what's happening within New Hampshire, within the activist community. But Keene has a special spotlight for Dave Ridley's Ridley Cam because so much darn stuff happens there. One thing that happened there was a raid by the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Association or Administration, whatever it is, another ABC organization from the government. They raided a store in Keene called Fat Stuff, which sells glassware and pipes and other tobacco products, tobacco in air quotes. And the thing that made this unique, this happens all over the country, so why is it a big deal when it happens in Keene? Because a flood of activists come down with their video cameras, and more importantly, their moral finger wagging. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it really was incredible because I think I read that there were over 200 raids on that same day all across the country, and I would wager that the only footage that exists of any of these raids, at least right now, maybe eventually there'll be security surveillance footage that comes out, is the Keene raid, because activists were there. They were there to tell the DEA agents, like, we don't appreciate your services. We don't like you coming into our community, and we don't like what you're doing. You know, you're taking a business owner's inventory and possibly going to put them out of business. And, you know, this service, the so-called service, is not wanted here. I mean, even if you would say that drugs are bad and you take that position, they didn't have any drugs in the store. They're taking this man's smoking devices, and they're taking other inventory. They weren't taking so-called drugs, and I would contend that, coffee is a drug. I'm addicted to coffee, and cigarettes are drugs, and alcohol is a drug. So it's just really funny, and it's great if you watch the video. There's one point where one of the agents is out back smoking a cigarette, and Ian Freeman goes up to him and he asks him, how do you feel where you're back here smoking tobacco, and here you are stealing someone else's tobacco smoking devices? I mean, the irony is it's so funny, and Ian has a lot of great commentary. Garrett, Rich Paul. Another good thing I remember was Ian.
I want to play the clip, and for those who are watching along on YouTube, or for those who are listening at LRN.FM, head over to peacenewsnow.com/live, and you can see live video of this broadcast. I'm going to play a clip that James is talking about.
And here's one of them now. Let's see if he hurries inside as I approach. Finish that cigarette, honey. Isn't it a little bit ironic that you're back here smoking a cigarette while you take other people's tobacco smoking devices, sir? That's pretty embarrassing.
So that was just one clip. Another that I particularly enjoyed is this one coming up where a woman has no idea how to lie quickly and properly when approached by an activist who tells the truth. Here she is covering up her face from the cameras.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Are you embarrassed about what you're doing today?
Why are you bothering me?
Why are you stealing people's things?
Why am I stealing people's things?
Are you here with the DEA?
No.
What are you here for?
That's none of your business.
Uh-huh. Sure looks like you're here for the DEA. You're going into the back of this building where there's about a dozen DEA agents who are stealing people's things. Didn't your mother teach you that it was wrong to take things that aren't yours?
Didn't your family tell you never to assume? You know what that makes of you.
Why don't you just tell me what you're really doing then? If you're not taking people's things and loading them into boxes, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves.
Gets the door slammed on him as she goes into the back of this business. And then where
there
does she turn up later? Oh, there she is, right inside the building. There's her face, frozen for everybody, not so proud today. Your response to this, James?
It's kind of funny. I don't know if she's a law enforcement agent or not, but I think that it's illegal for normal people to tell lies to law enforcement. And yet there she is. Ian asked her, are you with the DEA? And she says, no. I mean, and clearly, even if she's not a DEA agent, she's still there with them. So basically, it's fine for them to lie to the general public, who supposedly these people work for us, which, I don't really think that they do, and it's clear by their actions that they don't.
Did you think it was unusual that all of these people who are participating in this DEA raid, which is a federal government organization, are all wearing plain clothes? None of them are wearing badges, uniforms, anything to signify that they're people of authority. There's no signification. There's nothing signifying that these are people doing a particular job. They look like common thugs.
Yeah, and that's one of the creepier things about it. I mean, I'm kind of reminded of when there were snipers here in Keene. They had armed men on the rooftops, and they were just wearing like normal clothes. I mean, to me, it's kind of shocking that you would grant these people such power, and authority over other people, and then you can't even identify who they are.
Right. It's a scary thought. One other clip that I want to show and get your response on.
Seriously?
Sealing the windows and serving search warrants that are sealed.
Keene Police is assisting you rather than arresting you, which is what they should be doing. Heroes. Saving the world from pipes. I mean, you guys are ridiculous. Seriously?
Sealing the windows and serving search warrants that are sealed. That's almost like secret police. We don't know why things are being taken from a local business here in Keene, but allegedly the federal government's involved. I mean, I don't feel comfortable knowing that the federal government is raiding local businesses.
Go to the next row.
Only 150, right? Living here.
Hey, I heard you guys have been ruining a bunch of people's lives today. I heard you guys raided a bunch of shops all across the United States, you DEA folk. Is that true? How does that make you feel? Taking away people's livelihood from them. Of course, that's what you guys do best, right? You guys are parasites. That's all you do. You don't actually add anything to the economy. You don't add anything to the world. You just destroy. You destroy people's lives, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
The second paragraph of the deck.
So, do you think that they get this kind of response anywhere else in the country? Absolutely not. There is no doubt this only happens in Keene. Are you seeing video of this happening anywhere else? Only from freekeene.com, and it's amazing. The statements that people are willing to make in public to confront these aggressors, one of which who is wearing a shirt, by the way, that says "Believe in Heroes." The irony is just painful. James?
Yeah, and I love how it opened up there with the officers trying to like censor the footage, and you know, they're wearing masks and they're covering their face, and you know, if they're doing this great heroic thing, why aren't they proud of it? I mean, what do they go home and do they tell people like, I'm a DEA agent and today I cracked down on this evil business that was selling smoking devices? I bet you they're probably embarrassed at what they do, and they don't. Maybe they tell folks that they're a DEA agent, and for most people that probably conjures up images of people fighting the cartel and all these bad people, but the reality is they're just harming business owners.
And wearing big guns and uniforms, not just knocking over small local businesses, 200 across the country. That it's affecting real people's lives. Coming up, we're going to be talking about the Keene barbecue that didn't go as expected. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of government?
Hey, and for those of you listening, if you support this show, if you're enjoying this content, you can kick a small donation over to Peace News Now at donate.peacenewsnow.com or by scanning any of the QR codes on your screen. This show is entirely sponsored by viewers like you. Thank you.
Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's...
How you doing, James?
Great. How are you?
Doing good. We'll be back for the last segment coming up, and then it looks like I see tufts of Garrett's hair beside you, so he'll be joining us as soon as...
Oh, the shadow?
No, I see like half of him, or a third of his body.
Wow.
Wait, so you can see more than...
I see your right hand extending in front of Garrett.
Oh, our preview doesn't show that.
Oh, okay. Well, I can see it, and it's not bad.
I got a very narrow view on the preview.
Oh, okay.
That's
I wonder if I can show you what you look like by doing a... No, I can't.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
There's a square bottom.
You see all that?
Yep.
It's not bad. I just was noticing that Garrett's here, so he'll be joining us shortly, and I'm excited about that. This is terrific. I'm so pumped. Good job. All of your comments are so on point. And I want to be asking Garrett about that raid, too, because I saw he made a lot of commentary. But I won't ask yet. Okay, we'll be right back.
Click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm. including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Welcome back to Peace News Now. We're talking about stories of peaceful resistance, and James Cleveland of Robin Hood fame is certainly no exception. He is a peaceful resistor within the confines of free Keene and New Hampshire, greater New Hampshire and Shire area. And he's been very active. He's speaking with us about a DEA raid of a local business called Fat Stuff, and it sells glassware, smoking-related products, and they were raided by the DEA just for the simple fact that they sell glassware. Now, Ian Freeman of FreeKeene.com reports that Fat Stuff's Matt Boardman, the employee that was there when the DEA came to rob the place on Wednesday, spoke to him via Facebook and informed him that the local smoke shop plans to rebuild, saying, quote, "We are going to use this tragedy as a motivation to rebuild, bigger and better than it already was." Today, which was May 9th, activists chalked on the sidewalk in front of Fat Stuff in protest of the DEA's aggression and later gathered for a 420 in remembrance of lost liberties. Fat Stuff reopens today at 2 p.m., and that was written 2 days ago. So they've been around, they've been active. How's the response been since the raid? Have you checked out the store? Have you heard from them? You said that they were collecting some signatures for you. What's your communication like?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, they're already reopened, and they actually have a glass blowing station right in the store, so they've been restocking their inventory right there, locally made. I mean, I think it's fantastic, and it's really funny because there are multiple places that you can buy hookahs and water pipes and things like that in Keene. So, I mean, I'm not sure what the DEA was trying to do. They claim that they're going after synthetic drugs, which Fat Stuff used to sell herbal incense years ago, and they no longer stock the product because
that was due to popular demand, right? People in the town said, "We don't want you selling this. We don't like this stuff. It's bad for people. It's clearly unhealthy, and nobody wants it," right? So they just stopped selling.
Yeah, and it's a total government-created problem because if marijuana was legal, people probably wouldn't be smoking that garbage. People were smoking it because they're on probation or parole and they don't want to fail a drug test, or they have a job where they may get drug tested. So it's a total reaction to bad government policies. And one thing I'd really like to see changed here in New Hampshire is, I mean, there's no question that cannabis should be legal. I mean, it's just astounding to me that it's still they still try to crack down on it. And that's one thing I wish New Hampshire. There are other states that stand up to the FedGov and tell them, you know, we're not going to go after this stuff anymore. So I don't understand why New Hampshire doesn't have that same courage.
Yeah.
And I say New Hampshire, of course I mean the people in New Hampshire. I mean, people need to grow a backbone and tell the people who are trying to rule them, the government, that there's nothing wrong with cannabis, and that's part of what the 420 is about. You smoke it in public to get that message out there that, hey, there's nothing wrong with this. It shouldn't be illegal, and I'm going to smoke it because I should be able to do that.
Right. That's the sort of peaceful resistance I love to see, is people living free, taking the consequences, and showing people how great it is to be free. And people are so comfortable keeping their heads down and getting in line that they just forget how wonderful life can be when we live free. Now, changing gears for just a minute, but it's still connected to the topic. Some people just don't want to be freed, James. They're already free. They were free before you came here, okay? And they don't want you here messing up their Freedomville. And they call themselves Stop Free Keene! Exclamation point, in all caps. That is the title of this group. They have made a name for themselves on Facebook. Any idea their number?
I think that there's probably a good 24 Stop Free Keene folks who are really active, and
tell us what they're about.
It's just as the title suggests. Anything that Free Keene does, they're going to be against it, pretty much. And I find it fascinating that they think that we're so important that they're going to commit time and resources.
Want to be their own
to deal with us. You know what I mean?
Yes, and sorry about that audio issue. I was trying to pull up a clip where Ian Freeman of freekeene.com gets a nice little panorama of all of these signs that people are holding. I'm going to try and put that on in the background so that people can see. But Garrett Ian held a people's barbecue sort of thing.
And real quick, I would say that it was a great success. I mean, we probably had at least 20 people show up and eat barbecue, and it was kind of disappointing that the members of Stop Free Keene didn't come out and eat barbecue as well. Maybe they could even brought their own food. They didn't have to eat our food per se, but it's sad that they claim to be about community, and they claim that Free Keene is destroying the community, and yet their actions, to me, are not about building community. One example of that would be they have a lockdown Facebook group where the public cannot comment. You can go to freekeene.com right now, and every single article that is posted on there, you can comment on it. You can say, I don't like this, or whatever. So it's sad that they're a very closed group, and they wouldn't talk to us. They don't want to have a discussion. And the only response that was even uttered by any of their members, and it, to me, is really childish, was one gentleman was making farting noises when Garrett Ian was trying to talk to him. So, I mean, it's just comical. If these people are so morally justified, and Free Keene is such an evil organization, and the folks who support it or are part of Free Keene are terrible, bad people, why don't they have that conversation with with a dissenting voice? Please, I want to talk. I want you to tell me what you don't like about what I'm doing. That's how you improve. You have to get feedback. And obviously, they don't want to get feedback. They just want to have an echo chamber where they can state what they will. And then I just don't understand it. You know what I mean?
Well, this is the man, I've frozen his face, who is making farting noises. He's the only one brave enough to communicate with the Free Keeners. And that is his style of communication, holding a sign and making farting noises. This is your competition? This is what you're up against? I mean, it seems pretty weak, James.
Yeah, and another funny thing is, instead of there's been a lot of violent comments from this group, and there's been threats made against Free Keene members or people who support Free Keene, and so obviously they don't believe in peace. Maybe they say that Free Keene is not peaceful, but clearly their group is posting violent things, and no one is saying we don't agree with this. Why don't they denounce that kind of behavior? I don't understand that. And
now I'm going to ask Garrett this question, but I'd like to get your take. Is Stop Free Keene an AstroTurf, or are they for real?
I think that they are for real, and they're upset, and obviously they think that we're changing their community in a way that they don't like. So I can kind of understand it, but I think that their solution isn't the right one. Like, to me, I want to have a open conversation with people. Like, that's one of the really insulting things to me about the whole Robin Hooding lawsuit. The city, instead of coming and trying to talk to us, they just filed a lawsuit and alleged all this harassing behavior and all this terrible stuff. So to me, that was really insulting, and it basically sent the message that we don't want to deal with you people. As people, we just want you to comply with our rules and edicts. And to me, it's not a very neighborly thing to do. If someone is doing something I don't like, or if they damage my property, I think that you should first try to resolve the problem by approaching them and talking to them about it, as opposed to just filing a lawsuit and trying to get the state involved in their lives. You know, I've had to take time off work to deal with this. We've had to get an attorney. Of course, he did it pro bono, so he's a hero in my opinion. But I mean, it was a big inconvenience. And it's funny because it really backfired on them. It was like the springboard to all this national media attention. So it's like anything that they do, they just cannot win.
Yeah, the people who oppose Free Keene always seem to shine an even greater spotlight on the activities of the activists there. Now, I can speculate about their motivations. Perhaps it's a touch of Stockholm Syndrome, but I'd like to know more about their actions. But that sound means we're out of time. It's been fantastic to hear your thoughts and your lovely activism, James. Please keep it up, and I look forward to hearing more stories in the mainstream media about what's happening with Robin Hood and Free Keene. Thanks, James.
Hey, thank you. Can't wait till you get back in New Hampshire.
All right, check you later.
Yeah, you can continue up with Garrett on the People's Barbecue. I consider it a great success, and I'm glad that even the dissenters will show up and at least, well, I would say state their opinion, but they didn't do that.
Well, they kind of did. They had signs. They had one message per person that they wanted to communicate, and that's what they accomplished. How long were they out there?
About 45 minutes. Another funny thing about this group, they don't focus on the issues. So they don't bring up liberty issues. They focus on the people. They say like, oh, the Free Keene activists smell bad. That was one of the most recent comments.
And Ian Freeman says heroin should be legal.
Yeah, and I think that I would agree with that. I think that
Yeah, but it's not about the issue. It's about the person, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And I think that Ian, that's kind of disingenuous because I don't think Ian's going to say heroin's a great thing. I think Ian will say that we shouldn't treat these people as criminals. And if someone needs help, you should come from a position of compassion towards them instead of putting them in a cage and possibly destroying their lives.
Right, but they're not talking about the issue. If that's what it were about, they would have a sign that says heroin is perfectly acceptable being illegal. That's what it should be, you know. Or
yeah, that's a good point.
Like that. They wouldn't say Ian Freeman says or Ian Freeman tax-exempt church is a fraud and stuff like that. Like they make it personal about the activists themselves, and it's not about the issues. You make a great.
You know, and I don't really care. I mean, they can say whatever they want about me. I'm a grown-up. I'm mature, and you want to call me names, it's not going to bother me. So I don't. Maybe I think it's like some projecting on their part where they wouldn't like it if you called them names, but. Oh, well, maybe they think they'll bother us or something. I'm not sure.
Right. Well,
I mean, I moved 1,200 miles or whatever. I picked up my life and moved. You know, a little bit of resistance isn't going to convince me to quit doing what I'm doing. But
yeah, exactly. I'd like to know some of their stories and where they come from. A lot of the people in the chat room are speculating, you know, are they government trolls? Are they paid for by...
Some of them do work for the government or they're involved in the government. Quite a few of them work for the college, and of course the college is a very liberal, so-called liberal atmosphere. So
well, liberal unless they don't like what you're doing.
That's true, and maybe they should just come out and say it that they don't want people who don't think like them to be in the community. That's what it boils down to, and you know, liberals always pride themselves on diversity, but obviously they don't want diversity in their community.
It couldn't be more clear. Well, I certainly appreciate your thoughts, and
I'm gonna let Garrett get on. See you later.
we're on a break right now, so it's been lovely engaging with you, and thanks so much for being on, James. I can't wait to see you either. I've been dying to come back to Keene. Woo! Now Garrett's in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? You want to do some sound check for me? You want to zoom the camera out a little bit to fit your whole hair? Or... I'm just kidding.
Alright, so I'm talking into the microphone at a normal speaking volume. Hopefully this sounds good.
It sounds excellent. You really sound great. And just going to pump it up a little bit. James was a little bit louder, but you've got a lower speaking voice. It sounds great. Love it. Well, what do you want to talk about? We already covered the barbecue and the DEA raid, so we got nothing left for you. I'm just kidding.
Sure.
We'll talk
that certainly is the case.
No, we've got a lot to talk about. A lot of things going on in Keene. First of all, I do want to play some more of the clips from the protesters. There were 20 protesters out. That is shocking. How did they get all those people to coordinate at the same time? I would think, you got 24 people on Facebook who say they're attending an event. It means like maybe 2 people are going to show up. So they got 20 people to show up to their event. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had about a similar number of people respond as going to the Robin Hood of Keene People's Barbecue. And yeah, about that many showed up and about that many Stop Free Keeners showed up. So it was nice to see it was about even keeled. By the time the Stop Free Keeners showed up, though, some people had already left. This was a good 45 minutes into the barbecue.
Who had more people? And we're not at the official interview yet. I'm going to re-ask you these questions when we come back in 3 minutes.
I believe there were probably more of the Stop Free Keene people there at one time. They occupied just the front end of Central Square. They stayed totally clear of most of Central Square. We were occupying the gazebo near the fountain. Some people were playing hacky sack in the grass.
Cool. Can you tilt the camera down any more? Okay, what's it look like now?
Probably too much?
Yeah, just a little too much. Yeah, let's see that. I'm seeing, like, I guess what is that? The top of a monitor or something?
It should probably be flipped around.
We've got like 2 more minutes if you want to adjust it. Yeah, that's much better. That's much, much better. Yes. That is the camera angle that I want to see. That looks lovely. Hey, thanks for making that slight adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, terrific. Well, I'll play some ads, and we'll get started shortly. If you're just tuning in, you can support Peace News Now by making a donation at donate.peacenewsnow.com. We only accept cryptocurrencies and have since our inception in 2012. Keep us rolling along with a Bitcoin donation, or you could use Feathercoin, Namecoin, Dogecoin, or Litecoin if that's what you prefer. If you got some other cryptocurrency you want to toss our way, just send me an email at contact@peacenewsnow.com. Let me know about it. I'd be happy to include a new QR code just for you.
Backs turned to the council. They were escorted out, while other protesters received citations for criminal trespass. The number of those cited is not immediately known. 5 injuries confirmed after Thai police fired water cannons and tear gas at opposition protesters attempting to topple the government. The Indian Express reports that the People's Democratic Reform Committee has launched what's being called an all-out final battle in their attempted overthrow. The move comes as the Constitutional Court Wednesday ordered Yingluck Shinawatra to step down as premier. Support for Liberty Beat comes from Mass Appeal, affordable, high-quality printing, now accepting Bitcoin, online at massappealinc.com. And support comes from growyourowngroceries.org, homegrown food on every table. That's Grow Your Own Groceries.
Oh, hey, Garrett, I forgot to ask. Do you have the full hour to do with this, or you got to cut out early? I know there's meetings and stuff going on today.
Yeah, I prefer to cut out a little before 6:40 if that works.
You got it. Anytime. 6:30 if you want to just do 2 segments.
Mm-hmm.
I've got news stories I can cover.
Cool. Yeah, 6:30 is good.
All right, then we'll go 2 segments.
Shame that in today's society we still have jails that don't encourage kittenish girl-on-girl exploration. Prison shouldn't be a hotbed of gang violence and drugs. It should be a steamy Shangri-La where caged nymphets discover the sexuality away from the leering eyes of male society. The investigation revealed living conditions that many are calling cruel and degrading, but not in a fun or kinky way. The study's author argues that incarceration should be about more than just punishment.
The purpose of prison isn't just to lock people in a box and forget about them. It's to provide opportunities for naughty girls to play nice.
Been stopping Free Keene for longer?
Jock scientists have reportedly thrown the cure for asthma onto the roof of the lab. We'll talk to the nerds struggling to retrieve it.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is PNN. We're back talking about peaceful resistance with one of Robin Hood's merry men. Some might even call him Robin Hood himself. If you're in Keene, you see that big floppy do plugging parking meters and saving people from tickets. It's a wonderful thing, and Garrett Ian of freeconcord.org joins us in Free Keene. How are you, Garrett?
I'm doing wonderful, Derek. It's great to be on the show and sharing with your audience today.
Yeah, likewise. Well, you were at a barbecue this weekend. You hosted the People's Barbecue in Central Square, Keene, a place that is near and dear to my heart for being the locale of several of my arrests. Why did you choose to do this barbecue, and what's it all about? How did it go?
This barbecue was started as a celebration of the year anniversary of the service of the lawsuit by the city of Keene against Robin Hood and the Merry People.
What does that mean? What's the service of the lawsuit?
The day that we all were served. Now, May Day, May 1st, was when City Attorney Tom Mullins physically signed the paperwork and submitted it to the court. But it was May 9th that we all were served with the papers by Cheshire County Sheriff's deputies.
Do you use that term tongue-in-cheek? What do you mean you were served? What kind of service is that?
Well, it's legal terminology, meaning that you're told that you're obligated to appear before the court, that the court may make impositions against you if you don't respond to them. That's the kind of service that they speak of.
Wow, sounds awful. Okay, so you decided to celebrate this day?
Yes, well, I mean, as much as it was unappreciated that these legal impositions were put upon the Merry People, it did all turn out in our favor in the end, and continues to, as the case is on appeal to the New Hampshire Supreme Court. And we got all this press attention and all this generous donations from both local people and people abroad, people far away. So the lawsuit, I'd say, was a very positive thing, and it introduced us to many more people. And so I figured it's a great time to celebrate. May 9th, it was a beautiful, sunny Friday afternoon. It was a little overcast. And yeah, I figured since there's been so many misconceptions or maybe misunderstandings about what Robin Hood's all about, a People's Barbecue would be a great way for everyone to come to Central Square, the center of town, fill their bellies, fill their minds, and interact and share with their neighbors.
Seems reasonable. How did it go?
It went great. About 20 people showed up to get food, served over 30 tacos, and went through about half of a giant tub of pasta that we had brought. Tried to have options for both meat eaters and vegan folks so that everyone would feel accommodated. And people had a great time.
And vegan folks?
What was that?
Did you have both meat eaters and vegan folks?
Yes, there were some people that chose to opt only for the pasta.
Cool. Were all the people who came to participate in the barbecue activists, or were there other members of the community present?
I'm sure there's some people that don't consider themselves activists that were present, yeah.
Okay, I saw a lot of video cameras out there, a lot of recognizable faces. Rich Paul was a participant. That was exciting to see. Glad to see he's out of jail and engaging in activism once again. So tell us about the counter-protesters.
Well, I guess they were just the protesters, since I wouldn't really say the barbecue itself was any sort of protest.
Okay.
But the barbecue itself was protested. About 20 people, 45 minutes into it, were assembling. I assume, or actually I've seen pictures. It was on the top of the Wells Street parking garage, which is recently free parking here in Keene. They assembled there and they marched in unison, uniform, with their signs towards Central Square, and once they crossed into Central Square, very quickly assembled in a line along the edge of the square, holding their signs so they'd be visible to passing motorists.
You're kidding me. The activists, or the Stop Free Keene, Stop Free Keene, and all
3
caps,
exclamation points.
exclamation points, yeah. They decided to opt for free parking instead of paying the city? That's shocking.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Many of their most vitriolic advocates happen to always be parked in the free parking.
Well, that's strange. Hey, do you think you had anything to do with the free parking situation in Keene? You say it was recently deemed free parking. What's the situation? It used to have meters, now it doesn't?
Well, it was the roof of a garage that used to be just for a hotel and some other businesses that had leased space, but a large portion of those spaces were opened up for public use. However, at the same time, there was another garage where you could pay a small amount to park there long term, the City Hall parking garage. And when that free parking was opened up, almost all of the spaces at the City Hall parking garage were taken away and given to bureaucrats as free parking for their day jobs.
Well, isn't that nice? All right, so what were the protesters' message?
Many of the messages were Free Keene is mean, stop Free Keene enslaves us, just general sorts of terminology implying that there was something bad going on with that Free Keene group. Some of the signs were directed specifically at Ian Freeman. They were suggesting that he had suggesting that he had unfavorably political ideas about his beliefs on the war on drugs or his belief on human sexuality. There's a variety of signs, and none of them were very specific. You know, none was more than, of course, like 4 or 5 or 6 words. And that was all you could get out of the individuals that were protesting because they were not speaking with anyone. The only utterance I heard, well, actually, with the exception of a whisper one gave into my ear, the only other communications I heard from the protesters was a fart noise by one of the supposed leaders.
Now, on screen, I'm sharing with the viewing audience some images of you speaking to the crowd. Here are the protesters holding their signs. We've got some people reading them. What is it that you're saying to these people?
I began by welcoming them to the barbecue, inviting them down to have any food. If they want to share anything with us, whether it's ideas or information or food, that it's welcome, and it's a community event, and I'm glad that my neighbors had attended. And I was surprised that there was silence at that. Usually when one human being reaches out to another human being, the reasonable thing to do is respond in some way. But there was no response, so I continued. I took the opportunity to ask this group questions, even though they weren't going to answer these questions, because I do feel censored to some extent by this group. They speak extensively about the activities of myself and my friends in a derogatory manner, in a misleading manner. Some members of this group have made direct threats against my safety and threatened violence. So I took the opportunity to ask this group these questions like, are you proud of what your supposed group does? Are you proud of what the other members are doing? Do you see it as a positive development for the community? Do you believe it's appropriate to respond when people are doing things inappropriate, whether that's from your group or another group? So I tried to at least call to the minds of the individuals that were participating. I wanted them to recognize what it was that they were perhaps missing out on or blinded by through a bias that they have against people just because they're associated with a group called Free Keene.
Frozen on screen, I have a statement by Alan Madden who says, quote, somebody needs to hold that joker down and shave that ridiculous afro off, which got 4 likes in only an hour, including Todd Nolan and John Cole. How do you respond to statements like that?
I mean, that's one of the more, that's like a lighter threat. I mean, he's threatening part of my biology, which is somewhat disturbing. I can kind of take that one in stride. At least he's not threatening me with a gun like some other of Stop Free Keene members have.
Okay, well, hold that thought. What about this guy, this Emerson's Towing and Repairs? Some people were wearing hoodies that said Emerson's on them. So
yes, and that's a great point because it's after that Emerson's incident on the Stop Free Keene group, there were many individuals saying we need to support this business and we need to thank this business for what they've done. And what they meant was we need to thank them for having threatened the life of Graham Coulson. One of their drivers, if you watch that video, it's very disturbing, it's very profane. He says, I'm going to find you, I'm going to have a gun next time, I'm going to kick your ass, I'm going to knock your teeth out. All of these very nasty, threatening things, and I can't throw them all out and say they would do this. There was maybe 1 or 2 that said that was inappropriate. But there was an overwhelming amount of people that were saying, this is a great thing, this is a great person. We love people who threaten other people as long as we don't like them. And that's shocking, and I hope that that's something that comes to the attention of the people that may just be passively following along with others in these sorts of activities.
Coming up, Garrett was threatened with violence on the street, in person, while holding a video camera and doing some Robin Hooding. You were also threatened on video by a man holding a shotgun. All that to come up and more. But first, I want to hear quickly your response to that. Are you afraid, Garrett? Are you in fear for your life at this moment?
I don't allow fear to consume my existence.
All right, I love it. Hey, Peace News Now will return after this trip to the market.
Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges. Start a conversation with your neighbor or your doctor or your family or your school. Now there's teachers and lawyers and business executives, and they all wear shiny badges and they all reject the state. Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges show the world that you reject coercion and aggression and oppression by the state. ShinyBadges.com.
When commercials come on, don't push the button. Instead, listen. Even if you don't sell things for a living, you're still selling in the various conversations and transactions that make up your busy day. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. So take a lesson from Madison Avenue. Often the fewer words, the more effective the message. Like Jiffy Lube, where you never need an appointment, or the Office Max ad that says, you supply the ambition, we supply everything else. How about online ticket broker StubHub.com, the way in when it's sold out, or CyberCupidMatch.com's seductive, go ahead, it's okay to look. How cleverly and succinctly can you distill your message? For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same great prices, and LRN gets a cut. Please do your online shopping at shop.lrn.fm. MineThings.com is a fun online game that pits you against people around the world to mine for scarce resources. Do business in a capitalist economy with virtually mined gold, tax-free. It doesn't require a big time commitment. Your little mining robot guy works whether you're logged in or not. It costs nothing to play, but you can buy bonuses. They even accept bitcoins. Go to MineThings.com, use coupon code FTL, and double your mining speed. It's free. MineThings.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
A meme is not easy to define.
What is it?
But you know it when you see it.
Amazing.
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com proves that.
I feel so enlightened.
Don't Tread on Memes, M-E-M-E, helping you give the finger to our monetary system of deception by providing you with silver dime trading cards. Unlike today's dollar, they have value. And they look neat, too.
Oh, would you look at those? Aren't those just swell?
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. While you're browsing their numerous silver dime card designs, take time to download the easy-to-use Silver Calculator app. This simple piece of technology lets you know instantly, whether using iPhone or Android, just how much your silver coin is worth. Find out all the details at Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. Now accepting Bitcoin. Don't Tread on Meme. Your path to a voluntary society with honest money. Don'tTreadOnMeme.com, serving you faster than the Fed prints money.
You can interact with other LRN listeners in our message board at forum.lrn.fm. That's forum.lrn.fm.
A woman is facing charges after filming her own arrest. Plus, Michael Sam, for those of you who follow the NFL, got emotional and kissed his boyfriend on television. Is that what the NFL was afraid of? Plus, a cop was fired after killing a 93-year-old, and a teacher tells a student he can't read the Bible in his classroom. All that coming up and more. But first, we're back with Garrett Ian of freeconquer.org, known to some as Robin Hood of Keene. What we're talking about is his People's Barbecue, which he took, made tacos, made pasta, had different options for people to fill their minds and their bodies, as he put it, and have a discussion about the things that they value. Garrett, we were talking about the threats, and you left off the last segment saying you don't let fear consume your mind. Tell me more about that philosophy.
Well, sure. I mean, as someone who has taken it upon themselves to challenge the state in some sense, I mean, I try to avoid using conflict rhetoric like fight and battle. But, I mean, the reality of the situation as an activist working for more liberty, myself and others are identifying things about society that we think are wrong. And people who may profit from those sorts of things, or people who may just be afraid of change from those sorts of things, I understand how they would themselves and their way of life feel threatened. And that may be what's propagating some of these direct threats of violence that they're making against individuals. I think it's something that we need to work through as a community. It's going to be difficult to do when there's members of this group, such as Stop Free Keene, that are saying these people are not our neighbors. These people cannot be worked with. You know, basically creating this idea that other people or other human beings are an other, and they're not just fellow human beings. But on the topic of just not allowing fear to consume one's life, I mean, there's a lot to be afraid of. There's the state. There's crazy people who may disagree with you that are just civilians. But to me, there's no reason to allow any of that fear to prevent me or put a chilling effect on what I want to do. Fear is a killer of motivation. It's a killer of one's drive and desire. And so when people make threats, what I want to do is just make sure that I'm safe, make sure that people know about those threats, know that this issue exists. And I feel that I've done that to the best of my ability in the different instances in which people have made threats. And when I walk around in Keene, New Hampshire, I'm not carrying any particular types of weapons other than a camera, and I'll still feel totally safe.
Now, on the screen, I'm sharing with the viewing audience at home a picture of a portly man who looks like he could do some serious damage if you got on his bad side. Tell me what we're seeing here.
Sure, that's an image of Travis Hobbs, a man who's actually coming up on trial for the threats he made against myself and for trying to attack myself back in August of last year. He is actually not taking the plea deal in that case, and he's taking the case to trial.
Despite having video evidence against him?
Yeah, despite video evidence of the entire interaction that shows him to be culpable of making threats.
Wow.
He's wanting to get it all out there on the table, and in that sense I can respect that. I definitely don't respect threats of violence. Nobody should be making them.
Okay, and were you the one who decided to press charges against him, or was that an independent decision by the Keene police?
Well, I talked to the Keene police prosecutor after I made the decision that charges should be filed in the case. And the reason I did so is because he was continuing to make threats through different mediums after this video was created. He was very upset that the video was on the internet and threatened my safety because of that. Now, I found that this person, I talked to Fenton Moore, one of the officers who was a responder on the scene, about the situation, and he said that Mr. Hobbs told him that he felt he did nothing wrong. So what I foresaw is that there may be some sort of violence. This person is saying they want to commit violence. I know that they have the means to do so. So I just let the police handle that. I gave it off to them. And I hope that in prosecuting this case, it means that they are diverting time and resources away from prosecuting victimless cases. I've chosen, I didn't choose to ask the police to go press charges against other people who have threatened me in the past. One of those people I'm almost kind of regretting not having done that, and that's a local man named Bradford Hutchinson, who has assaulted numerous Robin Hooders physically. Now, the thing about him is he's a very frail person. He would seriously get hurt if he tried to hurt someone. He's an older person, and I believe his intention, unlike Mr. Hobbs, is to actually get hurt and then sue the Robin Hooders, hold it over the Robin Hooders, or something like that. So there's all sorts of different strange threats to one's safety. This Bradford person has at other times walked into traffic to block my bicycle, causing me to have to slam on the brakes, swerve. So there's a variety of strange responses people are having here. Another recent person who was making threats, you mentioned someone with a shotgun. I believe it's actually a Mosin Nagant sniper rifle that he has.
So
But,
I'm
yeah,
showing
him
that individual on the screen for folks who want to see what this is about. This is the man, and here he is loading this gun on video. And tell me about this. What's this about?
This man's name is Seamus. I met him on one occasion, and that was when he had wandered into the Keene Activity Center uninvited, without anyone opening the door for him, and he was armed. Nobody knew who he was. We let him use the bathroom before we were like, so did someone invite you? And like, all right, well, have a good day. And then I sent him a message on Facebook the next day saying, hey, just to let you know, like, we have a policy that people can be here if they're invited, and we were just wondering if you got an invitation or not, but just wanted to make things clear. And he got very upset about that, and he makes videos every day. He's a very regular YouTube videographer, and all of his videos are made from behind his webcam at his house. And he just rambles on. There's probably, I don't know how many dozens of hours that this person has made. But recently, this is now months after he had been uninvited from my house after wandering in, he started making threats against myself specifically, and I don't know what exactly motivated it, but he was saying he was going to kick my ass, he was going to find me, and it will be when your friends aren't around so that nobody will know, and the cops aren't going to help you because they don't like you. So I made a video compilation of all of this person's threats and posted it, and the Keene police were very quick to act. I posted that at about 2 in the morning one evening, and at 9 a.m. there was a KPD SUV outside of the CAC, and when I went outside that morning, they were like, hey, so about that video that was posted. So
Wow.
I thought they were on the ball with that. Seamus did say that the police visited him based on the video that I posted. So it seems that the police are
Not based on the
perhaps
video
beginning.
that you posted. I have to interrupt. I mean, yes, partly because that's how it came to their attention, but because of the videos that he posted.
Right. Well, I can't say that his videos are getting much views, to be honest. They average like 2 or 3 views a piece.
Because of the content of his videos. It's because he makes threats. It's not because you made up some video and here it is and the Keene police are going to go investigate it. I mean, you spoke earlier about how the Keene police, some members of the community think that they won't even come to your aid.
Sure. Yeah, they do have that mentality, and I'd say that there's been an evolution of the way I've seen the police treat activists over the years, and I'd say to an extent they've become more cautious with us, more polite, and I think it's the video cameras and the fact that we've made an impact on the community. But now it's not the police that are against us per se. It's not law enforcement per se, but it's different members of the community, and I think it's a funny sort of juxtaposition that now the police need to be acting on behalf of the safety of activists who they had previously considered, I suppose, a threat to people's safety, or maybe not safety, but just potential wiretapping and all of these other victimless crimes that activists have been targeted for in the past.
Excellent commentary. Garrett Ian of freeconcord.org. Thanks for opening hearts, minds, and bellies.
Oh, thank you, Derek.
Cheers.
Free Talk Live.
All right, so that can be it for you if you want to hit the road. I thought that was a terrific interview. Boy, it's so great to have you and to have a window into the Keene Activism Center.
Yeah, you may notice it's pointed up against the wall now because there's like a bunch of crap sprued out because we have people staying and everything, but it's all good.
Cool. Well, it looks great, and thanks so much for being on. Can't wait to catch you again and see you. I'm going to be moving up on May 23rd.
Oh, wow, it's just like a week and a half.
Yeah, I can't even believe I made it past my Independence Day. The 2-year suspended sentence is over.
Yes.
And I can't believe it. I mean, like, I thought they had it in for me that they were going to be like, oh, it's May 2nd was the day, and they were going to be like, oh, it's May 1st. Like, you're under arrest for no reason. But it didn't happen, so I'm thrilled.
Do you have your driving privileges?
No, that's separate. The driving privileges were independent of my original charges, and I'm seeing if you're the caller out there who's called in now 3 times, I see you. I just haven't been taking your calls. I'm trying to do an interview with Garrett. I'll go grab my phone, and you can either Skype in or I'll grab my phone and we can take that call. So thank you to you, the caller, who's trying to get your message across. I promise I will answer next time. Just hang on. And thanks again, Garrett. I'll catch you later.
Peace.
Peace. All right, everybody, coming up, we're going to be talking about the 93-year-old who helped get a cop fired, and a woman who's facing arrest for filming her arrest. Then, a teacher who tells a student that he cannot read the Bible in her classroom. All that and more to come on PNN. Stay tuned.
A once daily capsule that can help you lose weight in days. It's also one of the healthiest ways to lose weight because each capsule contains natural ingredients, including green tea extract. You'll boost your metabolic heart rate, allowing you to shed pounds in days with just 1 capsule a day. Be among the first to call for your risk-free trial. Again, we have too many risk-free trials and too few participants. If you would like to lose 30 pounds or more by taking just 1 all-natural capsule a day, call now to participate in this nationwide risk-free trial. 1-800-967-9495. That number again is 1-800-967-9495.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Press Publications is an independent alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary at fpp.cc, as well as weekly news in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com. The monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc and books at shop.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Peace News Now. We were just talking with Garrett Ian of freeconcord.org and James Robin Hood Cleveland of freekeene.com, both bloggers at freekeene.com and darn good activists, getting the attention of the mainstream media almost every other month. It's pretty remarkable. If you are impressed by what you've seen out of Keene, I urge you to go to freestateproject.org/PNN. The reason you add the /PNN is because it tells them you came from listening to this program. And when you sign the pledge at the Free State Project, for the Free State Project to move to New Hampshire to get active for more liberty, it lets them know how you heard about the Free State Project. So freestateproject.org/PNN, as in Peace News Now. Now we return to stories of peaceful resistance, and we're talking about a teacher who tells his student that he can't read in the classroom, but the student does it anyway. Good for him. Uh-oh. That sound means we're getting a call. Calls come first on this program. Let's get you on here. We're answering the call, and caller, you are on Peace News Now. Go ahead with your thoughts. Go ahead with your thoughts, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Dave.
What's going on, Dave?
Hey, Garrett's not still on, is he?
He is no longer with us. Unfortunately, Garrett had some important business to attend to in Keene. I believe it's Social Sundays in Keene, where activists gather at McHugh's Pub and talk activism. But if you can ask your question anyway.
Sure. Can you tell me, in his criminal case where he's claiming that he was threatened, who's the victim?
When he was threatened by whom? By the individual who attacked him on camera?
Yeah, how is he a victim?
Well, when someone makes a threat to hurt your body and then comes charging at you on video camera, it's pretty clear who the victim is.
Did he touch him?
Well, in order to have a victim, I believe that one certainly just has to believe that he's going to attack him should he get that extra inch.
So my beliefs are what create myself being a victim?
Well, that's an interesting philosophical question. What do you think about that, caller?
Creates me being a victim?
Well, I'll leave the question to you, caller. What do you think?
Well, don't you think that that crossing guard lady could have felt like she was a victim of you?
That's an interesting thought. What do you mean? How was she victimized? That she used
for the folks who
aren't familiar. Yeah, wait a minute. For the folks who aren't familiar with the story, I was filming a crossing guard outside of a public school on a public sidewalk, and I was using a video camera to film this crossing guard. She decided to walk towards me with her stop sign and hit me and my camera with it. So go ahead. What's your question?
When she saw you walking up to her.
No, actually, I was stationary.
She felt threatened by you?
No, actually, I was stationary at that time, so she decided to walk towards a stationary person.
So you had never walked towards her? You'd been there the entire time?
Yeah, I was...
So at some point, you walked towards her, and she felt threatened by your presence.
So are you saying that people aren't able to walk freely
way,
within the public space anywhere they want to?
By what you're saying, if you believe that you're a victim, then you're a victim.
I can't believe, honestly, that you would call into a program. No, listen, I can't believe you would honestly call into a program and bring up this kind of a distinction. Do you honestly have this difficult of a time recognizing what is a threat and what is not?
You feel like you're being threatened. That's your feelings, right?
There's a pretty clear difference. Caller, there's
it's a victimless crime. Just
Dave,
like
did you say your name was Dave? Dave, it's pretty clear what the difference is between a man who's about 20 years old who comes charging with his fists saying, I'm going to F you up, and he comes towards a person carrying only a video camera, and a person who's filming a crossing guard stationary. I mean, the difference is clear. Thanks for your call. I appreciate it. You can make your thoughts known by calling in 443-424-8347 or Skype us at Peace News Now. That's all one word. We appreciate your thoughts and calls, but do keep them reasonable. Thanks. Now, continuing with stories of peaceful resistance, this teacher tells a student that he's not allowed to read the Bible in her classroom. Now, I'm not a religious person myself. I don't think that the Bible is true, but I don't think that it's important or right to keep people from reading it. It's up to them to decide what's true. Here's the video from, I believe this is Fox News.
Thomas, Giovanni called you because I asked him to. I noticed that he has a book, a religious book, in the classroom. He's not permitted to read those books in my classroom. He said, if I told him to put it away, you said not to do that. So please give me a call. I need to have some understanding on direction to him about the book he's reading as opposed to the curriculum for public school. Mrs. F. Thomas, thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
That's the audio from the story where a Florida school teacher humiliated a 12-year-old boy in front of an entire class after she caught him reading the Bible during free time. The teacher at Park Lakes Elementary School in Fort Lauderdale ordered Giovanni Rubeo to pick up the telephone on her desk and call his parents. As the other students watched, the teacher left a terse message on the family's answering machine, and there it is. You heard it. That's from the horse's mouth. The teacher said, quote, I noticed that he has a book, a religious book, in the classroom. He is not permitted to read those books in my classroom. The Liberty Institute, a legal firm that specializes in religious liberty issues, is now representing the Rubio family. They're demanding that Giovanni be allowed to read his Bible during free time. They also want the school to issue a written apology to the boy. Now, what I want to know is, why isn't this teacher's name made public? Why is it that when it's a government person, and public school teachers are government people, when they do something wrong, they're never publicized, their names aren't put all over the news, but the young boy, this 12-year-old boy who was victimized by this teacher, now he is allowed to have his name all over the place. Now I'm seeing an unknown caller, and I'm going to have to say that if I get another unknown caller who's this Dave guy, I'm going to have to just drop it. So let's give it another chance. This is a call-in show. I am open for all sorts of communication. And but I do limit calls to one call per caller per show. So if you've already called once, I'm going to dump you. Go ahead, caller. You are on the line.
No victim, no crime. No victim, no crime, right?
I agree. No victim, no crime.
And I'm not in charge of your feelings. So you're in charge of your own feelings.
Is this Dave?
No, this is Adam.
Oh, okay, Adam. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Keene, New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Yeah, so no victim, no crime. If you're in charge of your feelings, I'm not in charge of your feelings, right? So how is that a crime? If you...
What are you talking about? We're talking about a young man who was humiliated in school because he was reading the Bible. Are you even listening to the program?
I couldn't hear it because I was on hold.
All right, and he was just dumped. Don't call back, Adam, Dave, whoever the hell you are, calling from Keene, New Hampshire, talking about the same thing. This is a continual troll who calls Peace News Now, talking about this story from 2011, back when I lived in Keene and I filmed a crossing guard who decided to hit me for filming her. That's the story. This guy's obviously got a real chip on his shoulder about it. Maybe it was his grandmother. I'd like to know the personal story behind the issues, because to continually bringing up the same topic again makes for boring radio, and we won't have it here at PNN. We will return with a kiss, a gay kiss, from an NFL last draft pick. We don't normally talk about sports on Peace News, but this one takes the cake. You'll see why.
This is the Central Scrutinizer. I steal your labor by force through taxation.
My job is to spy on you and keep you from hearing things like the Freedom Fiends. I especially
do not want you to torrent Freedom Fiends episodes to keep them drone-proof. Do not go to freedomfiends.com and click on the torrent link and learn how to torrent the Fiends archives. Do not go to freedomfiends.com
and click on the torrent
link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives. Do not go to freedomfiends.com
and click on the torrent
link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp, is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victimless crimes in relation to allegedly operating the Bitcoin-based Silk Road black market. He has been in a prison cell awaiting trial since. If he did it, he's a hero for making the black market a safer place. If he did not, he's a man wrongfully accused. Either way, if you love freedom and want to end the war on drugs, Ross and his family need your support. You can learn more and help fund his defense at freeross.org. That's freeross.org. If you can't listen to the Liberty Radio Network's internet streams, free satellite channel, or radio affiliates, no worries. You can listen to LRN.FM from any phone, anywhere. Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0309. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Liberty Radio Network listen lines are locked into our stream 24 hours a day. Call 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Copblock.org/pivothead to ensure that a record of the truth of police interactions exists and is accessible, we each need to fill. That's why we're happy to announce the Accountability Through Transparency video contest, the winner of which will receive a pair of Pivothead sunglasses. For more information and to submit your video entry, go to copblock.org/pivothead. 1. Document with a camera a police employee exhibiting double standards or the standards we expect them to live up to. This can be done while on foot, during a vehicle stop, while submitting an open records request, etc. 2. Upload your video to your YouTube channel. 3. Fill out the form at copblock.org/pivothead by the deadline of midnight Eastern Standard Time, May 23rd, 2014. 4. The winner, chosen by contest sponsors, will be notified by email, and the Pivothead sunglasses will be shipped once a mailing address is received. Copblock.org/pivothead.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
We're talking about a 12-year-old. Welcome back to Peace News Now. Yes, you can call in. Just minutes remain, so make your calls now. If you want to Skype, it's Peace News Now, or you can dial 443-424-8347. The number spells out Hi-Fi Civ Dis, as in civil disobedience. We're talking about a 12-year-old who was embarrassed by his teacher in front of everyone, made to call his parents as the teacher left an angry message on their voicemail saying, "Your student is reading the Bible and I just won't have it in my classroom." Well, a member of the Liberty Institute picked up his defense and said that when he received the teacher's message, Rubio contacted the school. He said the principal would have to turn over the matter to their legal department. Rubio then wrote a letter to the school ordering them to cease and desist the harassment of his son. This, quote, "This is to give you written notice to stop breaking the law and violating my son Giovanni Rubio's constitutional First Amendment right of free speech and religious expression," the letter states. Quote, "Do not tell my son he cannot read his Bible during free reading hours during class or any time when students are allowed to read books of their choice." The Liberty Institute provided the author of this article at foxnews.com with a response from Orinthia Diaz, the principal of the school. Quote, "This is the principal of the school, and I want you to pay extra special attention if you send your children to public school, which is a government institution. This is the principal speaking. Quote, you, child, is permitted to read the Bible before school, after school, and during lunch in accordance with the law," the letter states. Now, that typo was a quote. "This, friends, is what we call parsing words," writes the author. "Note that the principal avoided the issue. This is about letting a child read the Bible during free reading time." Sasser said the school violated the boys' constitutional rights. He accused them of viewpoint discrimination, restricting the free exercise of religion, and engaging in hostility towards religion. He cited the U.S. Department of Education guidance that allows for students to read their Bibles during non-instructional time. I just have to pause and say how ridiculous it is that this is even necessary to have guidance on by a federal agency telling children and not telling children, actually, telling the teachers what they can and can't let their students read. I mean, is this a free country or not? I think the answer is pretty clear. It reads in part, quote, students may read their Bibles or other scriptures, say grace before meals, and pray, or study religious materials with fellow students during recess, the lunch hour, or non-instructional time to the same extent that they may engage in non-religious activities. Well, isn't that nice that they have permission from the federal government to engage in prayer before meals and read their Bible during free time? We're getting another call. It's from an unknown caller, so someone's blocking their number. I always see the numbers and where they're calling from. So I said earlier in the program, unknown calls will be declined. That one is no exception. Sorry, Dave. It's a pretty serious situation, Sasser says, as the audio recording indicates there's a big problem in our schools. Indeed, there is. The bigger problem is with parents who think that it's still reasonable to send your children to anti-concentration camps run by government bureaucrats. That all aside, a Springfield woman apparently got a little too loud and belligerent while drinking on Chestnut Street Sunday morning. Just changing gears because we're in the last few minutes of the program, and I want to get as much peaceful resistance news out there as possible. Now, she was getting a little loud while she was drinking Sunday morning, and she refused to cooperate with police when they asked her to quiet down. She was about to be arrested, but police say the woman activated the voice recording feature on her smartphone, hid it in her purse, and surreptitiously recorded the entire arrest. Now she faces the unusual charge of unlawful wiretapping. Going to have to decline this call again as it is from an unknown number. If you'd like to call into the program, I welcome your thoughts and calls, but you must not block your phone numbers so that I know where you're calling from and I know that you're not Dave. Thanks. Springfield Police Captain Harry Kastronakis said 24-year-old Karen Zewitt of Chicopee was drinking in front of 140 Chestnut Street shortly before... Sorry, I missed a whole paragraph. That's very important. So this woman was about to be under arrest. She activated the voice recording feature on her smartphone and surreptitiously recorded the entire arrest. Now she faces, you guessed it, unlawful wiretapping. Captain Harry Kastronakis said the 24-year-old Karen Zewitt of Chicopee was drinking in front of 140 Chestnut Street shortly before 2 a.m. Sunday when police were called to assist a security officer at that address. Police say Zewitt was screaming and yelling and disturbing the tenants of the buildings, and she refused to stop her tirade when police asked her to. Well, you see, it's not asking when you're going to threaten force against a person when they don't do what you're asking. When you're asking, someone can politely refuse and then go on their way continuing to do what they're doing. That's what asking is. But when police ask, they're not really asking. They're getting ready to give you a beat down. So she recorded that. She was arrested, but before she was taken into custody, she apparently started the voice recorder on her smartphone and put it in her purse. Smart move, women. Do this. However, she was taken to police headquarters for booking, and as officers inventoried the contents of her phone, they found the phone actively recording the entire process. Zewitt was charged with unlawful wiretapping, disorderly conduct, and an open container violation. She will be arraigned in Springfield District Court on Monday. Is this nannyism or what? Get the hell out of Massachusetts if you love freedom. There is nothing for you there. The unlawful wiretapping charges, as we've seen countless times with activists who are filming police going rogue, are invaluable resources to get an objective record of what is actually happening. But the unlawful wiretapping charges are what these cops throw at people who are keeping an accountable record of what their actions are. So they don't like you filming, they don't like being accountable, they don't like being on the record, so they're going to threaten you with unlawful wiretapping. Why? Because it's against the law? No! Because they just don't like it. And they want to give you more trouble, they want to give you legal troubles, and give you a legal hurdle that you have to jump through. You have to hire a lawyer, you have to face criminal charges, you might have to take a plea deal or consider one. Now she's facing 3 charges, and what's she going to do? It's unclear at this time, but I encourage all peaceful people, get out your voice recorders. If you don't have yours on a quick button that you know how to get it, oh my god, this is really getting frustrating. Another call to decline. So I'll just disconnect the number next time. If this starts happening, I'll make it a nice little easy kill switch. But continuing with our final story of peaceful resistance, Michael Sam. Now, this was not on my radar as I do not follow sports, but this was at the top of the Drudge Report, and I was shocked to see this sort of peaceful resistance. I call it peaceful resistance. It's a way of changing the world through peaceful, voluntary, loving means. What is it? Here's the headline. Is an emotional kiss exactly what some NFL teams were afraid of? Michael Sam became the first openly gay player to be drafted by the National Football League Saturday, but he was one of the last players taken, and many questions remain. In this article at CS Monitor, that's the ChristianScienceMonitor.com, Michael Sam, the first openly gay player ever to enter the National Football League draft, was taken by the St. Louis Rams with the 249th pick of the draft Saturday, proving precisely nothing about the state of homophobia in the Professional Football League. Only one thing can be said with certainty. By taking Sam with the 8th to last pick of the 7-round draft, the St. Louis Rams saved the NFL a small public relations nightmare. Had he not been drafted, many questions would have been asked, most of them uncomfortable. How could Sam, who was a co-defensive player of the year at the Southern Conference, without question the top college football conference in the country, not even get drafted? How could a unanimous first-team All-American not be among the first 256 players chosen by NFL teams? In an era when rushing the quarterback is perhaps the single most important defensive skill, why was someone with 11.5 sacks completely ignored? Now, this means nothing to me, but it seems he's a very good player, and he wasn't chosen. What's the reason? Because he kissed his boyfriend on camera as soon as he was chosen. And on live television, the whole world of football had to watch a gay kiss. Well, good. That's the kind of peaceful resistance I want to see. More kissing on television and less violence. I think we can put up with that. Hey, this has been another episode of Peace News Now. Catch us 7 days a week over at peacenewsnow.com. Free Talk Live's coming up next.